Hi, what is up everyone? I am about halfway through my pediatrics rotation, and this week I'm on newborn nursery. It is Monday. I finished up with my first day in the nursery, so thought I would talk about what the newborn nursery is and my experience so far. So I did get to the hospital around 9 o'clock to find the attending and sort of get an orientation. I was thankfully with the head of the newborn nursery, like the head neonatologist at the hospital. So that was really good just because she knew everything on the ins and outs of the nursery and was able to give me like a really good orientation because I had never been there. I had limited experience with newborns up until now. We had a few newborns on my inpatient rotation. They were really just there for like phototherapy for jaundice. And then also saw a few newborns in the ED, but really hadn't done a lot of newborn exams. So today was just a lot of shadowing, honestly. Thankfully, she took me in to see almost every single patient, and I mostly just watched her do an exam, but for some of the later ones, she would have me, at least listen to the heart and lungs, and just get a general sense of what you have to do for a newborn exam. So that was really cool. The overall workflow is, I didn't personally see any patients, but like tomorrow I'll get there maybe around 8:30, pick one baby, go and see them, see how mom is doing, do an exam, and then present to the attending. Depending on the baby, they could have completely nothing wrong with them. So it's a pretty unremarkable presentation. It's just basically, they're a healthy baby and they're doing well. But there's a chance that some of the babies have other things going on. If the mom had diabetes, we'll have to make sure we're checking their glucose, all that kind of stuff. So it just kind of depends, on a case-to-case basis. But yeah, overall today went well. I was also able to see a few C-sections because the pediatric team is called into C-sections to help with like the neonatal resuscitation. So that was crazy because I've never seen a C-section before. OBGYN is my last rotation. So I'm kind of glad I was able to see that. I really, I wasn't scrubbed in or anything. I didn't even, talk to any of the OB staff. I just kind of like peeked my head in while they were doing the C-section just to get a sense of what they were doing. But once baby was out, we were with them. Handed the baby from the OB team, put them in a little basket, and then took them into a separate room that was like adjacent to the operating room. And then in there is where we worked. Thankfully, the 2 C-sections I saw today were just like very normal, healthy babies. So nothing we really need to do. We just kind of needed to dry them off and stimulate them so they would wake up a little bit and breathe on their own. That was about it for the day. It went well. There is a NICU in the hospital, but really the focus of our rotation is the newborn nursery. So while I did hang around just because I was interested, we don't really take care of the babies in the NICU just because they're a lot more sick, a lot more going on. So the fact that we only have a week there, they want us to focus on the newborn, healthy babies. Things are a little bit more simple. All right, so today's now Wednesday. Overall, past few days have been pretty normal in the NICU. Tuesday was actually a short day because I had a practice OSCE up at the school in the afternoon. So I was just in the nursery from like 9 to 12-ish. Then I had to go up to the school. That was actually a pretty good practice OSCE. I have enjoyed the OSCEs during rotations a lot more than the ones in preclinical. One, probably just because we're a lot more familiar with taking care of patients and OSCEs in general, but usually the practice OSCEs in the rotations are a lot more of a teaching opportunity. In preclinical, it was more about like getting used to the process of an OSCE and doing a full physical exam on a standardized patient and all that. But in rotations, they know that we've been through this a million times already. So a lot of the times they'll give us really difficult cases where there's not a clear-cut answer, and then during the debrief we'll talk about what the potential options were. Yesterday we had 2 simulations where we used like the mannequins, and our clerkship director was playing the nurse slash the mom of the children. So we did the normal, like taking a history, looking at the vitals, doing a physical, but then like we would stop periodically throughout the encounter to talk about, okay, like what do we think's going on? What kind of labs do you want to order? So it wasn't like a high stakes stressful situation. It was more of like a teaching simulation. Things that make those nicer is we do them as a group as opposed to one-on-one. The one-on-ones can be very stressful. But yeah, so that was what we did yesterday afternoon. And then, similar thing today, got there around 8:39, presented my one patient to the doctor. And then he was awesome. He was just like, hey, great job with that presentation. You don't need to come and see every single patient with me. You can just sit here and study. And then whenever there's a C-section, I'll come and get you. So today was a nice and productive day because I, got to just sit in a room and study a lot. And then when the C-sections happened, I got to go to them with him. Today was a little bit different in terms of the severity of the babies after the C-section. There was one where we needed to do some serious resuscitation, give him oxygen, do some chest compressions just because his heart rate plummeted. But thankfully, after like a few minutes of resuscitation, he kind of, fully woke back up and started to breathe on his own, and his saturations were good. So we sent him to the NICU just for observation, but the neonatologist didn't think that anything serious was going on. It was more of like just a precaution. And I think by the time I left today, he was already back in his mom's room, so that was good. All right, today's Friday. Just got home from the hospital, which means I'm done for the week. Thankfully, we don't have any weekend responsibilities when we're on nursery. So overall thoughts of the week, I really enjoyed nursery. The babies are very cute. And, with working in the healthy baby nursery as opposed to the NICU, pretty much didn't have anything go wrong with any of the babies that I saw. Interestingly, yesterday I saw a baby who had syndactyly, which is sort of a fusion of 2 of their digits. So like their 3rd and 4th toes were fused together, but it's not really anything serious. We're just gonna refer them to ortho to see if they're going to do any surgery to correct that. But other than that, I don't really think anything was wrong with my babies. And honestly, I think this was a really good introduction to OBGYN. I have 1 more week of pediatrics next week, which is just like an outpatient clinic, and then I start OB. So, obviously I saw some C-sections during this week, which is very directly related to OBGYN, but even just the process of going in every morning, seeing the same baby, checking up on mom, seeing how she's doing. Some of them had C-sections, so I asked a little bit about that, how they were feeling, if they were able to get up and walk around. And just being around that environment of a newborn baby and a new mother, I think was a really good introduction to OBGYN. So as I mentioned, next week I am in an outpatient clinic. I think a lot of the patients we're going to see are newborns, actually. It's one thing I didn't realize before coming to pediatrics is how often newborns have to see their pediatrician. Like, when we were discharging patients this week, we needed to make sure that they saw their pediatrician in like 1 to 2 days. And then you have to see them every few days after that for weight checks to make sure you're appropriately gaining weight, learning about the vaccine schedule. There's vaccines that you get at like 2 months, 4 months, 6 months. So yeah, in that first year of life, you see your pediatrician a lot. So that's why I think that most of next week is going to be a lot of newborns or just like infants. So that'll be nice to, use the skills that I learned for, the newborn exam this week in the clinic next week. And then also I have my shelf and my OSCE, so it's kind of crazy. Pediatrics is almost done. And then after that, I just have one more rotation, and then it is step study. So not really looking forward to that. But that is going to do it for today's video. If you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like below and subscribe if you want to see videos like this in the future. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.